Hey guys, what's up? So we have a new update on Advanced Server and it's patch 1.7.64. First on our list is the buff on Lord. The level 2 Lord will now use its skill on all the towers it encounters. Here is the first tower and the skill was used. Here is the second one and the skill is used again. That means the level 2 Lord is now a bigger priority, especially for the teams that are behind. A Lord still will give them a chance for a comeback since the Lord can clear all the towers in a lane. Next is the buff on Eudora. The enhanced version of her second skill will now stun enemies longer from 0.6 to now 0.9 seconds. The developer said they want her skills to be used based on the situation and not always starting with her second skill. They also added 18 points on her HP growth stat. That's an additional 252 HP at max level. Next is the buff on Chang'E. Her first skill now has a faster projectile speed. I'm not a Chang'E main, but I can see that it's clearly faster now. The cooldown of the skill is also improved in the late game, and her ultimate now gives better movement boost from 10 to now 20%. Next is the buff on Lesley. The developer said the meta is favoring attack speed marksman, so she needs a bit of a buff. Her first skill will now have a shorter cooldown. That's -1 second in the early game and 0.5 at the late. Next is the experimental changes on Alpha. His passive skill can now place marks on enemies that are hit with his skills. After placing 2 marks, the next damage he deals on the marked target will receive true damage from Beta. The mark can last for a few seconds, which means if he continuously attacks, the true damage will trigger multiple times. The mark can be reapplied by using skills on the same target, and it can be used on multiple enemies. Aside from the new passive, Beta's follow-up attack on the first, second, and ultimate skills will now always be true damage, and it can scale with extra physical attack. They didn't do anything with his second skill heal, which is great news. Based on these changes, basic attacks will now play a big part on his combo. Maybe one attack speed item is needed in his new build, since his skills have a short cooldown already. Next is the adjustment on Freya. The developer said the previous update made her too strong with her unlimited second skill. Now they'll balance her by reducing the skill stats. The damage and shield were all lowered, and I think that's just fair. Next is the nerf on Layla. Her second skill can only mark the first target it hits. The stun duration is shortened from 0.5 to now 0.25 seconds, and her attack growth is lowered by 2.5 points. The developer said they lowered her damage output so she won't be overpowered on official server, and according to them, she will still be stronger than before. So I guess we just have to believe them, right? Next is the buff on Joy. Some adjustments were reverted from last week, but the number of dashes remains the same. The extra damage when activating her passive is still there, and the passive cooldown is now the same as official server, which is 4 seconds. Her ultimate now hits 8 times instead of 6. One thing that was not in the patch was her shield. It's now back, but it only appears if you hit the bit correctly. The shield can stack 3 times if your beat is correct. If we combine all these changes, I think it's now more of a buff for Joy. She lost 1 dash in exchange for higher damage and extra defense stats when in ultimate form. The shield is back, but only if you hit the beat. Next is the new hero, Novaria. They improved the projectile speed and animation of her second skill, and first skill will now clear minion waves faster in the mid and late game. Next are the item changes. See, Halberd has a new unique passive called Punish. It now grants extra 12% more damage against heroes with higher extra HP than you. This is good for those heroes who like to use full damage builds like marksmen and assassins. Their damage is increased against enemies that build HP items, and I think 12% is pretty big, right? Twilight Armor has a new passive. When you take more than 800 damage in a single hit, the excess amount will be reduced by 300 plus the 5% of your maximum HP, and it has a cooldown of 5 seconds. It's like the old version where it can reduce high damage exceeding 800 points. It works on all kinds of damage, including true damage, and the reduction becomes stronger as you build more HP. Magic Blade and Rose Gold Meteor now have an easier trigger condition. The shield activates when your HP is below 40% instead of 30%. The shield is also increased in the early game. The Aegis spell now has a shorter cooldown from 90 down to 75 seconds. Last one are emblem stat adjustments. One noticeable change is the talent Festival of Blood. You can now increase your spell vamp from assists. Previously, it only increases when you get a kill. So what can you say about the update? Do you like the new lord? Share your thoughts in the comment section. That's all for this video. Stay safe and thank you for watching.